Speak Anyway, a public speaking guide for introverted CEOs with stage fright. Stage fright by me, Mahlena-Rae Johnson. Section 1. Hello. Hello. My name is Mahlena-Rae Johnson. Welcome to my book. You will learn more about me later, but first, here's a story. Chapter 1. Casey. Casey, the extroverted CEO of a growing educational venture, was known for his boundless energy, his vegan soul food recipes, and his genuinely joyful mood. As the founder of Whistle Stop EdTech, an organization that taught first-time candidates how to campaign in local elections, Casey's day-to-day role was a symphony of meetings, networking events, and motivational talks. He thrived on the connections he forged and the inspiration he instilled in his team. However, beneath this extroverted exterior lurked a deep-seated fear, stage fright. The impending presentation for the launch of his company's groundbreaking new product was the source of Casey's torment. The following month, Casey would debut the product during the Eddy Forum, the premier conference for education technology, this year held in Toronto, down the street from his company's headquarters in Mapletown. The very idea of standing on a stage in front of a vast audience filled him with dread. It was a stark paradox, the vibrant extrovert hiding a crippling fear. Casey's awakening to the problem came during an impromptu rehearsal at his office. As he stood before a small group of colleagues, his hands trembling and his voice quivering, he realized that his stage fright was more than just nerves. It was a formidable obstacle that threatened to undermine his leadership. The turning point came when Casey attended a pre-conference workshop for those presenting at that year's Eddy Forum. The leader of the workshop, a bespectacled lady with a penchant for quirky humor, shared a powerful insight. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Those words struck a chord with Casey, sparking a profound realization. He couldn't eliminate his fear, but he could learn how to harness it. Before the workshop ended, Casey emailed the leader inquiring how to work with her one-on-one so he could gain the competitive edge he needed to succeed. For 4 weeks leading up to the forum, Casey poured his energy into preparation. He rehearsed with his newly retained presentation coach, sought feedback from trusted associates, and embraced mindfulness techniques to manage his anxiety. At the end of each practice session, he celebrated a small victory over his fear, each time with a different flavor of kombucha. On the morning of the presentation, Casey focused on the last words his presentation coach told him. Have fun. He drew the silk handkerchief from his jacket's inner pocket, wiped the beads of sweat off of his bald head, and glided onto the stage. With a booming, "Hello, Eddy Forum!" Casey channeled his extroverted energy into a passionate and engaging performance. The audience was captivated by his authenticity and conviction. At the end of the speech, they filled the ballroom with cheers. With the launch's resounding success, Casey's mission crystallized. He aimed to empower educators and learners globally, using his newfound courage as a driving force. Casey was no longer content to remain within his comfort zone. His expedition from fear to triumph had shown him that real growth lay beyond it. Post-performance, Casey sat with one of his fellow CEO friends, Jordan, in the conference's coffee break lounge sponsored by Air Canada. Jordan commended Casey on his command of the stage. "Your vision was clear," she noted. "Revolutionize education, break down barriers, and ensure that no one's potential is limited by fear," Casey completed with a sip of his ice-peached green tea. Casey had conquered his performance pressure. He was now he was now ready to lead his company to even greater heights, determined to leave a lasting impact on the larger world of learning. Cool story, bro. It would be easy for me to tell you, be like Casey, just do it. However, if you are an introvert like me, INTJ specifically, and a Scorpio, then your story is going to be a little different. Before I tell you that story, I have an activity for you to complete. There will be one at the end of each chapter, so get a paper and pencil or type on your phone or your computer. Find a way to write down your answers. As I write this book, I will write down my own answers with you so you can refer to them if you need examples. Let's do this. What are you afraid of? List 3 things. What would you present on stage if you knew you would not fail? List 3 topics. Why are you reading this book? List 3 reasons. So, if you have come to the end of this video and said, do I really need to do this? Yes, I would like you to do this and leave it in the comments. Wherever this video may be posted, tell me what your answers are. So here are the questions one more time. 1, what are you afraid of? List 3 things. 2, what would you present on stage if you knew you would not fail? List 3 topics. 3, why are you reading this book? List 3 reasons. And my book that I just read chapter 1 of, Speak Anyway by Mahlena-Rae Johnson, is available now, and there will be a link in the description. And thank you for listening to this chapter 1 of my 6th book, Speak Anyway. Bye-bye.